The night Lady Evelyn's family painted her out of their portrait, the Duke of Ashcombe spent £3,000 restoring it and hung it where every noble in Derbyshire would see her again. The ballroom at Ashcombe Manor had been full of soft laughter only moments earlier. Crystal chandeliers glowed above silk gowns and polished marble while servants uncovered the newly restored family portrait above the Duke's fireplace. And then the room went silent, because beneath the fresh layers of paint, someone had restored the outline of a young woman her own family had tried to erase. Lady Evelyn Harrow stood frozen near the ballroom doors as hundreds of eyes lifted toward the portrait. And there she was, painted back into existence. The Duke sat beneath it calmly sipping wine as though nothing scandalous had happened at all. Months earlier, Evelyn's family had removed her from the original portrait after she refused to marry a wealthy viscount twice her age. A cruel man, the kind who left bruises where no one polite ever looked. But her family cared more about debt than her safety, so they punished her quietly, first socially, then publicly, by commissioning an artist to erase her from the family painting before displaying it at a summer gathering. To Regency society, it was worse than humiliation. It was social death. The Duke first noticed Evelyn after that gathering had ended. Not dancing, not crying, just standing alone in the empty ballroom while servants carried away the altered portrait. And when she looked at the empty space where her painted face used to be, she whispered softly, "At least now it matches how little I belonged there." Something about the way she said it stayed with him. Weeks later, the Duke secretly found the original painter and learned the truth about the Viscount. Learned why Evelyn had refused the marriage. Learned what her family had willingly ignored. So he bought the portrait before the alterations became permanent, and restored her himself. Now, at the Duke's winter gathering, the entire aristocracy stood staring upward in silence. A noblewoman finally whispered, "Why would the Duke do something so scandalous?" And the Duke answered without taking his eyes off Evelyn, "Because if a family is shameless enough to erase their daughter, someone ought to remind them she existed." But the real shock came afterward, because years earlier, the Duke had once been the Viscount's closest friend. Until he discovered what the man did to women behind closed doors. He ended the friendship immediately. Not because society demanded it, because conscience did. Evelyn slowly walked toward the fireplace. And for the first time in months, people looked directly at her instead of through her. Not erased, not hidden, not forgotten. Because sometimes revenge is loud, but sometimes it is simply refusing to let the world pretend someone never mattered. And beneath the firelight of Ashcombe Manor, the Duke stood beside her restored portrait without speaking for her, only making sure she could never be erased again.